What's up? It's Noah Taborda here. Football Weekly, our third episode, and excited for another episode, another week. Fantastic week of soccer. Not much going on the club front, but that doesn't mean that there isn't a lot going on in soccer. In fact, there's never any dead time in soccer. During the summer, you have World Cup next year, and even on the years there isn't a tournament, there's MLS. There are South American leagues playing, so there's never a dead time. And despite there not being European club soccer this week, it still was a week full of excitement. And before we get into some of the scores and results, talking a little bit about the FIFA rankings and how it is faulty, we're going to start out with some headlines. So we're going to start out in England with Daniel Sturridge, plays for Liverpool. He's their leading goal scorer, one of the best goal scorers in the Premier League, has been one of the main reasons why Liverpool has played so well so far this year. He did score the one and only goal against Manchester United to win that game a couple of weeks ago, so that's big. He's obviously been playing terrific, but he's come under fire lately from English news, from English fans, and it's not good, and here is why. So he told Liverpool's official website that his priority was the Reds, which is Liverpool, because club form is the only ticket to a place in the England side. But how he phrased it may not have been the best way possible. He said, "I'm more worried about Liverpool and more worried about putting in good performances for us winning games and challenging for trophies. That's my main ambition. It's not about playing for England. That comes with doing the things you're doing for your club. And if I don't play well here, I won't get the opportunity to do it there, World Cup finals." And, you may hear that and say, oh, well, that's not that bad. But the real thing that was a problem was when he said, it's not about playing for England. That's what struck most fans as disrespectful, and that's what a lot of fans were saying. He messed up, he shouldn't have said that. And even some fans averted to explicit words. Ben Sandro Henny on Twitter, at Benny Henny, tweeted at D Sturridge, "It's not about playing for England. These were his words. You are an expletive. I never want to see you again in England top again, expletive." So obviously did not take well to it. Daniel Sturridge went on to respond, "Don't get it twisted. England is the pinnacle. To play for them is a dream come true. Just hoping to recover for Monday." He also tweeted, "Some people never understand. Read the interview. If I do well for my club, I will play for England. If I'm not fit, I can't play." So obviously he's trying to not make an excuse. He's trying to warrant the words, and I agree with him. I think that fans are taking it much too seriously and kind of twisting his words. He has a lot of followers, and so obviously he's very popular, but you always have to be careful with what you say, because fans can take it any possible way. Obviously, I'm on his side, but just because I agree with him doesn't mean he shouldn't watch how he phrases things. Because even if you do phrase it right, even when you say something right, it could be taken as bad. But you always want to be careful. It's very difficult because everybody perceives it differently. But Daniel Sturridge just got to watch out a little bit. I think that he'll be fine. It'll blow over. He's still a phenomenal player and should be very important for the English national team. But, just watch out. And now on to not a Englishman, but a Welshman. Gareth Bale has been in the news a lot lately. We talked about him last week after his transfer to Real Madrid, one of the biggest in history. And now his groin apparently has been hurting him. And he has asked that he wants a groin scan because apparently it's been hurting him. And Sky Sports Football, tweeted, "Gareth Bale has trained with Wales following a scan on his groin strain, but will not start against Serbia. So we'll see how he is." They also Sky Sports said, "We can't alter the fact that the pitch wasn't great and he feels just something in his groin, a strain. He came to see me on Friday morning and said something didn't feel right. This scan is precautionary, but he needs to know and be sure that there's nothing there. We don't think there is. If it's good news and he can play some part, of course he will, but ultimately the player says if he can or he can't. And for all those people who are saying, all those Tottenham fans, obviously slightly upset because also he didn't play for them. But if there's really something wrong and he's even sitting out the games for his national team, games that they desperately need to win if they want to have any shot, then obviously sitting out for Tottenham isn't because he was going to Real. There was actually probably something wrong. I mean, you may say that possibly he wasn't injured during that time, but this is a viable excuse, and I think they're taking the right precautions here. Always got to be careful when it is your star player, the most important player on your team, and without Gareth Bale, they are nothing. But as long as they take these precautionary measures, they should be fine. He should be back. They don't think he'll miss too much time, obviously, if he's thinking of playing, and they expect him to pull on the jersey of Madrid for their first game against Galatasaray in the Champions League. And Galatasaray, not an amazing team, but they are a good team. They should be a good first game, just to get them warmed up, get them back into Champions League football, and give Gareth Bale a chance to get acclimated with his new teammates. Now on to another player who plays in the English Premier League. Or excuse me, Gareth Bale no longer plays in the English Premier League. He used to play. So that's their connection. But Gaël Clichy says that he may end up going to League One. In case you don't know, League One is the French league. Gaël Clichy currently plays for Manchester City. Very good defender. And he is French, so it would make sense that he wants to return to his native homeland. You want to play where you can. But this isn't the first time he's expressed interest somewhere else. He also recently expressed that he has interest in playing in the MLS. That would be here in the United States, which would be pretty big, signing a quality player. I wouldn't mind him going to the Chicago Fire. But if he were to go to League One, the question is, where would he go? I would like him to go to Monaco, because he's really good. And he even said, who knows? League One is not really attractive with PSG and Monaco. And if the opportunity arises, I would be happy to play in France because it is my country. He did say, but I feel good in England. I like the English football, and the football is so passionate. So obviously, for right now, he's saying, I'm going to stay in England for right now. But if he did go, there's always the question, where did he go? I just said I want him to go to Monaco. Personally, I don't think he would end up in Monaco, though. I think he would go to Paris Saint-Germain. Paris Saint-Germain obviously willing to part with money. So is Monaco. But I think Monaco is being a little more selective. I don't think Gaël Clichy fits the bid for them. Phenomenal player. I'm not going to say he's not good. Obviously would be a terrific shining. Whew, God, I'm mixing up my words a little funny here. But I don't think he's the player they would go after. I think that's more of a PSG type player. He would be a great signing to add to that already star-studded team. He is 28 years old, so that's still relatively young, but I think that AS Monaco is leaning in the slightly younger range for their players. Falcao, obviously, more up towards that range, but still, big news that he could possibly leave, always opening the question. But for right now, he will remain on Manchester City. Now we're going to switch leagues, and we're going to head over to Italy, Serie A. Another Real Madrid news player just left Real Madrid this time, unlike Gareth Bale, who's coming in. Kaká, who returned to his former team AC Milan, has been named a vice-captain by them, so that's good news for him. Hopefully this will mean that he gets the playing time he deserves, maybe return to his Brazil form. He's lucky that he found the situation that was right for him. He is not captain, do not get a mistake with that. Ricardo Montolivo, they did say this, and quote, Ricardo Montolivo is and remains our captain, but almost certainly Kaká will be vice-captain. Let's not forget the 6 years he played with this shirt. So he's obviously moving back up to the eminence he was before. Let's see if he can play how he did 6 years ago when he wore their shirt. I think he'll play well. I don't necessarily think he'll be at the same level, but he's still a phenomenal player. I just don't think he got the time that he deserved with Real Madrid. Obviously, with that star-studded team, it was very difficult. But he did not get the time. But I think he will return to a solid level of playing. Now we're going back to England. Wow, lots of stuff going on in the Premier League. This time with Manchester United, my favorite team. But this news is not good. Shinji Kagawa is starting to complain. We signed him 1 summer ago, from Borussia Dortmund. Obviously, Borussia Dortmund, a phenomenal team. They lost a player that they thought was a phenomenal player, and at the time, we thought was a phenomenal player as well. He played for Ferguson his first year. He did get solid time, but now he's not getting the time with David Moyes that he would like. And after scoring for Japan and beating Ghana, Kagawa finally admitted his frustration over not playing at Old Trafford for Manchester United. He's not one that complains a lot, but he did say, "Please ask David Moyes why I'm not in the side. It's frustrating not playing, but to score a goal like that gives me confidence. Hopefully I can take that back to my club with me and things will improve." He also said, "It's hard not playing regular. Some days the frustration is worse than others. It comes in waves. It's so nice to come back to Japan and get to play. To score felt good. I just have to keep working hard and keep pushing for my chance. When I get back, it will be a challenge to get in the first team." And he's very young. He's 24 years old. He signed last summer. He scored 6 goals in 26 games. Played very well. Dortmund tried to take him back to Westfalen Stadion on loan. Westfalen Stadion is where Borussia Dortmund plays. But they rejected the offer. So obviously they wanted to stay with him. Moyes wanted him to stay. But he's not playing. And you could say he's disappeared. He hasn't done anything, he's not playing at all. It's as if he's not on the team, and I feel for him. I feel that he should get the time that he plays. You don't want to see a player that's that caliber, that has done nothing wrong. It's almost like Kaká. He's now in a situation with such a good team that he's not receiving the time that he deserves. He does deserve the time. There's no question about it. But, you got to work for that spot, and he has worked. And I think he deserves it, but obviously David Moyes does not see eye to eye with me. But obviously we don't know each other, so we're not really anywhere near eye to eye because he's obviously up there, and I'm just moving on my way up. But still, I disagree with David Moyes and the steps he's taken. Now we're going to go on to some world sports, and for the first time in my life, I've heard the word mistake coming out of Sepp Blatter pertaining to FIFA. I've never heard them say mistake. It's always, we're right, and when they make a mistake, we're still right, the move we made was right, and then they cover it up by bringing out some big event. And then if that event doesn't go well, they bring out another event. So they always try to cover their trails. They've never really admitted to mistakes up until now. And he said, this is what Sepp Blatter said. This is not a quote, but this is basically said, in the initial proposal to hold the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, they made a mistake. But he also told Europeans that they don't rule the world anymore, that not everything is going to be in Europe. But, he's recently said that he wants to move it to winter. If you're wondering why in winter, well, in the summer, the temperatures can reach 50 degrees Celsius, which is very high. In case you're wondering Fahrenheit, I'll go do the calculation right now. But I'm pretty sure that's well in the hundreds. Pretty high number. So, he's finally admitting to the mistake. But he's saying that he's not going to, I don't think he'll move it. It can get up to 122 degrees Fahrenheit, which is ridiculously dangerous. And obviously now he's saying that it might not have been the best decision. Really? Not the best decision? 122 degrees and it wasn't the best decision? No, it couldn't be. Was there money involved? Probably. But maybe here he's trying to cover that up a little bit, or maybe there just wasn't money. But he did say that he probably did make a mistake, and I think it's right of him to admit that, because he did make a mistake by not really taking that into account, and I'm happy that now he's at least talking about it and saying maybe, just maybe I did make a mistake. So, yeah. That's a big one, but here's some other news. It has been just reported that Real Madrid will make a move for Liverpool striker Luis Suarez. Suarez plays along the aforementioned Daniel Sturridge. the one who is coming under fire from the media and fans. But he is still a crucial part of that team, and he is very important. But obviously, he may not be there very long. Ancelotti is looking to add a striker after losing Higuain and Jose Callejon to Napoli during the summer transfer window. So that's some big news there. I think it would be a terrific signing because obviously you lose a player like Higuain, you want to get him back. You did bring in Gareth Bale, but you still want to increase the potency of that team. Adding Suarez would just make them hundreds times better. I think that would put them as the best team in La Liga. Obviously, you would still have to see how they play and how he fits in, but that still would be a very potent team if they added him. Next, we go to Andy Carroll, who he's been injured for a while, and now it's reporting that he may not play again until 2014. That is a long time. They spent $15 million on him during the summer to move him from Liverpool over to West Ham, and now he suffered a foot injury. He's going to have a scan on that foot, but it's not looking good from what I've heard, and he may not be playing again for a very long time. So Andy Carroll really has dropped. He was a phenomenal player, but he keeps getting injured, not getting the chances because of those injuries. He hopefully will recuperate because he is a good player and he's very important, but these injuries keep slowing him down and it's not helpful. Hopefully he can return to the level that he was before after these injuries, but for right now, don't expect to be seeing him on a West Ham side very often. David Moyes is also, he's obviously been under fire from Shinji Kagawa, and now he's playing a scouting system shake-up, so he's going to change a couple of things in the scouting system. He was not able to bring in many high-level midfielders, and he was not able to scout them and bring in the players, and he's now looking to overhaul the scouting system instead of bringing in a director of football, which would undermine their director, Edward Woodward, who has been phenomenal over the past, but now he's missed out on his targets and he's starting to come under fire. Me personally, I don't think that's right. I don't think because of one summer without necessarily the great transfers you expect from Manchester United that it should be completely undermined. It worked perfectly fine under Ferguson. I don't see why they should have to change it at this point. I mean, sure, you missed out on all of these big players, but that happens. You don't get the players you want all the time. But obviously, on a high-profile club like Manchester United, you you expect that to happen. You expect to have those big moves. You don't expect all of these bad things, all of these poor transfers to happen and not being able to get the players you want. So we're going to take a commercial break in a couple of minutes, but before that, just to tease you on a little USA talk, which we'll be doing, Landon Donovan was reported to have an eye infection, and if you saw the beginning of the game, he did not look very good. It looks really bad. He has an eye infection. It shouldn't affect him too bad. He should be fine. But for right now, he is not looking good. Not for right now. His eye was not looking good before the game. But the real question is, how would he play in the game? And when we come back, we're going to be talking a little USA soccer. Their result has just gone final. So stick around and we'll be right back with a little more USA soccer.
Your presentation of national sports is brought to you by Spreaker.com. Broadcast and listen to news, radio, and music with one low monthly rate. Your show will be right back after this word from your local stations. You can contact National Sports in a number of ways through Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter with the label National Sports. We love to have you guys a part of our show and can easily join us also through text or call. You're listening to the National Sports radio station on Spreaker.com.
Welcome back in Futbol Weekly, keeping it going. Now we're going to talk a little bit of USA soccer. For all of you USA fans, it's what you've been waiting for. The USA, before this game is coming inches away from qualifying for the World Cup, which would be monumental for them. They really needed this, and they are almost there. It's looking like they could make it. All they need was a win against Mexico, and for Panama not to be able to win that game. And as I just said, USA star Landon Donovan had an infected eye. And before I go on, I completely forgot to say, if you have any thoughts, any comments, want to talk about what you thought about USA or any of the other games going on, call in. The number is 224-563-8444. You can text there, call, whatever you want to do. Just give me your thoughts. If you want to contact me over Twitter, it's at Tibbs_Taborda. Again, that's at Tibbs_Taborda. So send me a tweet. Obviously, I will accept any ones, even if they're not necessarily the most smart comments. I will respond to them anyways. I'm not going to be rude and not address that. So yeah, let's get on to the USA, and the score has just gone final. I just told you that what USA needed to get in. Now the real question was, can they do what they need to get in? And they did. The USA beat Mexico in Columbus, Ohio, 2-0. That's big. They are now in a prime position for that World Cup as long as Panama cannot get that win, and it's looking good right now. The score is 1-1 between Honduras and Panama. So the USA they are in the 54th minute. So they are 36 minutes of the Honduras and Panama game away from qualifying for the World Cup. And Mexico is coming closer and closer to not making the World Cup, which would be, wow, that would not be expected. But the USA won 2-0, goals from Eddie Johnson in the 49th, Landon Donovan in the 78th, and Clint Dempsey should have scored on a 90th minute penalty, but he was not able to. But USA still won the game, and it wouldn't have mattered even if they had made that penalty. The win is the win no matter how they win, and they are so close. I'll be giving you updates throughout on what's going on in the Honduras game, just to know who scored. Carlos Costly scored for Honduras, and Gabriel Torres just up a little bit over 5 minutes ago scored to equalize the game between Panama and Honduras. So that's big. Hopefully Honduras can come out and win that game. Even though the USA isn't my favorite team, I still root for them in the CONCACAF. And obviously they're my home country, so I'm always going to be rooting for them. So that'll be big. Hopefully they can win the game. And yeah. But now let's talk about what this really means for the USA. The USA had just come off a 3-1 loss to Costa Rica, which was big disappointment. They really wanted that win, and they couldn't get it. And that put them in a bad position, seeing as Costa Rica would now jump out in front of them. And they were not looking good for during that game, and they needed a big bounce back against their big rival Mexico. And things were looking good, especially after Costa Rica tied today 1-1 with Jamaica. And just in case you're wondering what the standings look like now, the United States has jumped back in front of Costa Rica and qualified for the World Cup, obviously. Or will qualify at this point if Panama ties with Honduras. And Costa Rica has not qualified. If Costa Rica had won that game, they could have qualified. But this is big for the United States. They're going to get back in, and Klinsmann has done a phenomenal job turning this team around and getting them back in the right direction. And coming off that loss, it was not looking good, but they were able to, pull out this victory. And, with this victory, it gives them a lot more confidence. It gives them a lot more confidence going into their next game, trying to close it out, trying to get another win. Even if they do qualify tonight, it is important that they play through and continue to play well. But it's never easy, and even if they do qualify, they want to qualify probably first in the table because it gives you confidence going in. You may get a better, your FIFA ranking obviously goes up, even though I'm going to bash the FIFA rankings later. Actually, in the next segment, but for right now, just talking about the United States, it would help in their FIFA rankings, so they want to move up in the FIFA rankings. Obviously, it will be difficult in their next couple of games. It's not like it's going to be a cruise. They will play Panama later on, as well as Jamaica. Jamaica is not necessarily the most fantastic team, but it can be difficult. They did lose to them, actually, in fact. A little while ago, they lost 2-1 earlier in the year. So that's not a cakewalk there. And they did play Panama. They did win 2-0. So they should be feeling confident going in. But it's always difficult. And now with this win, it actually might give them the confidence to go out and win those games. And then when the friendlies come out for the World Cup, maybe win those games too. But it's still not a given. If Honduras doesn't manage to beat Panama, they have to be able to win those next games. So what's very important here for the United States is that they get their head out of the clouds and get them back out focused on the game. Ignore everything that's just happened. I mean, no, that's a little ignorant, but enjoy the win. But know that you have to start getting focused on the future and what's going to come up. There's a lot of stuff going on in the future, especially if Honduras doesn't win this game. So they got to stay focused. And Tim Howard had a phenomenal game. 4 saves in goal. Meanwhile, on the Mexican side, Jose de Jesus Corona only had 1 save. And he let in 2 goals. So not phenomenal, but it may have also been because the United States didn't have many shots on goal, only 3. But then again, that's all Mexico had too. So obviously, Tim Howard played a better game. But Mexico did play well, I will say. At the beginning, they were playing very well, had a couple of close opportunities, and it was going back and forth at the beginning. They weathered the storm, and they went into halftime 0-0, and I was thinking, Mexico is clearly the better team right now. The United States is playing well, but they don't have the same level of skill right now. They're not playing as well. Mexico, after coming off that terrible Honduras defeat, they were playing a lot better. But I'll get into them later. Right now, I'm just going to more focus on the United States. Omar Gonzalez, DeMarcus Beasley, Clarence Goodson, and Fabian Johnson. Out of all those, Omar Gonzalez is really the only one that I thought looked solid at the point. I thought Gonzalez was playing well, but I didn't think that they were at the point they needed to be yet. And then they came out in that second half, and they really impressed, scoring the goal, pushing the tempo. And when you control the tempo, it makes it a lot easier. Bedoya was carded there, received a yellow card, as was Donovan later on in the game. But they really tipped it. I think Mexico, in the first half, was controlling possession. But by the end of the game, it was 48-52, 52-48 in favor of Mexico. So they really brought it back. And the USA, they didn't have many shots to start the game. Mexico was beating them there. But they made it 13-11 and tied it up on shots on goal. So they really were pushing it. And then it came... In the 48th minute, they won a corner kick. And then in the 49th minute, a perfectly hit ball. And Eddie Johnson just climbs the ladder over the Mexican defenders and heads that ball down into the back of the net. It was just terrific. I was so excited. I ran upstairs. I was basically screaming. Very excited about that. And then, they kept playing solid. They were working hard through the game. And obviously Mexico, always looking good. It's always difficult. But in the 78th minute, Landon Donovan scored. And when you go up 2-0, it's very difficult to come back. It's just very demoralizing. Landon Donovan took a right-footed shot from very close range. The assist from Mix Discarud. And he put it right into the top right corner. And that's just so demoralizing. And right when I saw the goal, I knew it was over. I didn't think they had the mentality to come out and win. And in the 90th minute, when Dempsey got his penalty shot, I was thinking, oh wow, 3-0? He missed it, but still, it didn't matter. The U.S. would go on to win the game. It was just too much for Mexico. And I'm surprised. And now we're going to move over to Mexico. And I'm just going to start out by saying I'm surprised how Mexico has played. They just fired their coach. And their new coach could be gone soon as well. Not a good result. Not the result they were looking for. And just a quick update. Honduras has scored to go up 2-1 against Panama. So, if this result holds, a goal by Wilson Palacios in the 61st minute, a right-footed shot from the center of the box into the middle of the goal, an assist by Roger Espinoza, and if this result holds, the U.S. will be on to the World Cup. So, good news for the United States, but now, back to Mexico. Wow, lots of burps coming today. Wow. Oof. Back to Mexico. It's not looking good. They just came off of a defeat to Honduras, and they were really looking to bounce back by performing well, by getting a win, a big upset in Columbus, where the United States have actually only conceded 1 goal in the 9 games they've played there. So they're terrific. It's sort of like a fortress. Good team. And they were unable to really get the finishing touch they needed. They needed a goal to start off the tempo, but they were unable to. And things have not looked good for Mexico, and they continue to look down for them. Look, it's a 2-1 loss to Honduras, and now a 2-0 loss, putting them down in the table. And now, obviously, Panama is losing this game, and if they do lose this game, they would stay in 5th. But if they tie this game, they tie with Mexico, as a matter of fact, for that spot. But, Panama is not done with Mexico. In fact, Panama's second to last game on October 11th will be against Mexico. So a win there, if they lose, would put them above Mexico. So Mexico has put themselves in a bad spot, especially if they have to play Costa Rica and Panama, 2 good teams. Mexico played Panama in the Gold Cup and was unable to win. So they're putting themselves in a bad situation. And they're behind in goal differential. They're at -2, tied with Panama. I mean, that's something that you don't hear of often. Mexico has played terribly. 1 win, 5 ties, and 2 losses. And you may say, oh, well, at least they're not losing every game. But against teams that they should be beating, to have 5 ties and only 1 win is unacceptable. They haven't been scoring in games. It hasn't come. 0 goals against the United States, only 1 against Honduras. Only 1 against Panama. Only 1 against Trinidad and Tobago, despite winning the game. It's still not enough. They got 2 against Canada, so that's good. But only, then again, 1 against Panama. Then in the Confederations Cup, they were not able to score more than 1. They tied with Costa Rica as goalless. Panama goalless. Only able to beat Jamaica by 1. They tied with Nigeria 2-2. So they got goals there. Peru 0-0, United States 0-0, Honduras, they got 2 goals, Jamaica 0-0, and Denmark 1-1. They're just not able to put away the goals that they need. And if they don't start putting away goals, they could find themselves out of the World Cup. You think of Mexico and you think a team that... man, my throat is hurting a little bit. I'm just really quickly take a drink of water. Okay, feel a lot better after that. But back to that, Mexico, when you think of Mexico, you think of a team that can consistently make the World Cup. 2010, they're in it. 2006, 2002, 98, 94. Then there's their first gap in 90, but 86. Another small gap at 82, 78. Small gap, 74, 70, 66, 62, 58, 54, 50. And then 1930 was the time before that. But so many World Cups, barely any absences. So it would be a shock if they couldn't make it. And even if they do make it, I wouldn't think they go far. In fact, in the past 5 World Cups, besides 1990, where, by the way, they were banned because of where they were playing overaged players in a youth competition. So they probably would have classified for that one. So just that one, they could not qualify. They actually withdrew from the World Cup in 38. And then there was no World Cup all the way from 38 to 50 because of the World War II. So obviously they couldn't have qualified for a World Cup then. But in 94, 98, 2002, 2006, and 2010, they have only gotten to the round of 16. And they have ended in the position between 13 and 15th. And one of the big reasons is because they are unable to really score the goals and be able to outscore their opponents. They've ended 4-4, 8-7, barely won over 4-4, 5-5, and 4-5. So they've been outscored multiple times. They haven't been able to get those. When they went to the quarterfinals in 86, 6-2. So obviously, they were able to outscore their opponents. And that's what's very important here. And they're not able to do it. When they're not able to score goals, they're not able to win. So it's looking like that may be a similar situation to what's going on now. And that's just it's not good when you can't score goals. Goals are the most important thing when you need confidence. You need to be able to score goals for confidence. Another quick update, it is still the same score in Honduras. In Honduras, it's still 2-1 in favor of Honduras, so it's looking good for the United States national team. And in case you're wondering how this result would affect this the USA, besides that, let's also focus on the CONCACAF, what the standings would be after this win. Honduras would go up to 13 points, so basically putting Mexico in a position where they'd have to win both of their games and improve their goal differential in order to directly qualify. Otherwise, they'll have to play New Zealand, which, how they're playing right now, you never know. I think they're clearly a better team when they play at their best, but if they continue to play how they're playing right now, you don't know. They might not make it. But we'll have to wait and find out. And now we're going to move over to a little European soccer. As you know, this is the second to last little bit of time before the World Cup, and next ones will be in October. October 11th and 15th will be the 2 days where most of the games will, or actually all of the games will be played in Europe. So we're going to start out with teams that have qualified officially for the World Cup. Italy is in for the World Cup. They have qualified first in their group. And another team that's in is the Netherlands, both making it in, so that's big. Belgium is assured at least a playoff spot, so they will at least be able to play for it, as well as Germany. Croatia, Bosnia, Greece, Spain, and France have qualified and made it at least sure they'll be in second place. Still doesn't mean they'd be in a position, they wouldn't be in the playoff. If the playoffs were right now, it would be Hungary versus Greece, Croatia, France, Sweden, Iceland. Wow, okay. Ukraine and Portugal. Let's see how this happened. I don't even know how Iceland could be in it. But let's start it off with Group A. And this group is finished, basically, except for Belgium, Croatia. But it's looking like it will stay similar. Belgium will play Wales, which is terrible. And obviously, without Gareth Bale, they shouldn't. I mean, they should be. Gareth Bale should be back by then. But even then, not a better team. They should win that game. They also play. This is the game they have to watch out for. They play Croatia the first game. And if Croatia wins, it'll be tough for Belgium. But I do see Belgium coming out of this group on top. So Belgium and Croatia, the only teams left in competition there. Serbia, Scotland, Macedonia, and Wales have all been eliminated from contention. And unfortunately for them, they will have to head home. In Group B, as you just heard, Italy has qualified for the World Cup, one of the first European teams to do so, along with Netherlands. So they're in second place. You have Bulgaria, and just behind them, Denmark. So Bulgaria really vying for that spot. They'll play Armenia on October 11th, and then the Czech Republic on October 15th. As long as they can pull out the 2 wins, they should be in a good position and may get some help. Denmark will start off with Italy. So if Bulgaria can pull off that win there and Italy defeats Denmark, they'll be in as a potential playoff team. Obviously, one team does not make it, and right now they are currently in last, which would mean they would not make it. But they need the wins to get in, and they can still do it. Only one team has been knocked out in this group, and that'll be Malta. Armenia, Czech Republic, Denmark, and Bulgaria all still remain. Now on to Group C, where we have Germany, one of the teams that is guaranteed to at least be in the playoff spot, so that's good for them. They should win this group. Sweden in second, 5 points behind. Sweden, their rest of their schedule, they will play Germany, but Germany plays Ireland, and if they win a game, they're in. So it looks like this is how it'll be staying. But, Sweden, they play Austria. And if they lose to Austria, Austria would tie it up. And then playing Germany, don't be surprised to see that Sweden could actually drop out of here. And Austria could find their way into second place. And even Republic of Ireland still have a shot. Unlikely because they do play Germany. Always difficult. But they still have a shot, so you never know. The other 2 teams, Kazakhstan and Faroe Islands, are both out, so we're coming closer. So many teams being eliminated. Now on to Group D, and we have the Netherlands, one of the other teams that is in for the World Cup. Big news for them after struggling in the UEFA Cup through 2 summers back. So they're in. In second is Hungary right now, barely holding off Turkey by 1 point. One of the hosts of that UEFA, I believe they were a host. No. Turkey was a host of the U21 World Cup. They were one of the hosts, and they're fighting for it. Nuri Sahin, one of their big players. They're fighting back, trying to take over Hungary's spot. And let's analyze their schedules. Hungary will take Andorra, who have yet to score a goal, so that should be a win for Hungary, which, unfortunately for Turkey, would put them out of contention. So it's not looking good for Turkey, and it's looking like, especially playing Netherlands, Hungary will be advancing. Romania wouldn't be able to do so either, so I'm going to take Hungary. And now on to the worst division. Switzerland, Iceland, Slovenia, Norway, Albania, and Cyprus. Cyprus eliminated, but all the other teams still active. Switzerland at 18 points. They will play Albania, which could be a difficult game considering how weak this is. But they also play Slovenia, which is much more difficult. Iceland, this group is actually boring me to talk about. They play Cyprus, so they should pick up a win. And I think what it really comes down to is whether or not Switzerland loses both games. But if Switzerland wins the game and Iceland wins against Cyprus like they should, Switzerland, I believe, will take first, Iceland second, and Iceland would be in the playoffs. Oh my god. Even saying that, Iceland in the playoffs. I'm gonna go look at their Wikipedia page. Not a great credible source, but they normally have good rosters actually on Wikipedia. And I'm gonna see what their roster is. Let's see. They're showing their results. Their goalie. They have a goalie named Gunnleifur Gunnilfsson. Cardiff City. They play on a good team. Okay, AZ Alkmaar. That's a solid team. So I don't want to just completely bash them. Sampdoria. Okay, that's another good team. Tottenham Hotspur. Gylfi Sigurdsson plays on this team. Okay. That's average, in case you don't know who Gylfi Sigurdsson is. He plays for Tottenham FC. He is 23 years old, a young player. He's very talented on set pieces and great long-range shooting ability, so that's a big sign. That's a big player. Okay, so they do have some potential. I'm sorry for bashing them. Obviously, a pretty good team. Once again, if you want to call in or anything, it's 224-563-8444, or tweet me at Tibbs Taborda, Tibbs underscore Taborda. And now we're going to move on to Group F, Portugal's group. And North Ireland, Luxembourg, and Azerbaijan all eliminated. Only Israel, Portugal, and Russia remain, and it's looking like it will be over for Israel. Unfortunately, I am Jewish, and I still want them to make it, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Portugal plays Israel. Israel loses that game. It's over. And I'm going to say that Russia will take first, and Portugal will go into the playoff again. So that will be difficult for them, but that's how I see it playing out. I don't see Israel being able to pull off a big upset and knocking them out. Now on to Group G. Greece and Bosnia, at least going to get second. One of them is getting second place because everybody else is out. Slovakia, a player in a team in last year's World Cup, actually were a good team, made it past the first round before losing to the Netherlands, are out. Lithuania is out. Latvia is out. And in last place, the very small country, Liechtenstein, is also out. I'm surprised Liechtenstein even made it to this point. And guess what? They scored 3 goals. Liechtenstein is a very, very, very small country. I'm going to have to find out how many people. Let's see. How many people are in Liechtenstein? I believe it's like 30,000 at most. Let's see. Population. 36,281. That is the 209th smallest country in the world. In case you're wondering what 209 is what it's around. It's around the Cayman Islands. So, obviously not a big country. In fact, very small country. So, it's around the Cayman Islands. You've got... Actually, they moved down to 216. You've got the Cayman Islands is actually above them now. American Samoa is above them. It's right next to Monaco. And San Marino. So, it's really small countries. They are not at the level of the Pitcairn Islands, part of the UK, which are now their own country, technically. 66 people. So slightly bigger. Just a little bit bigger. And Liechtenstein doesn't even make a percent of the population in the world. So that's a small amount. The biggest is China, followed by India and the United States, but that doesn't matter when we're talking about soccer. Let's go back to Liechtenstein. They have scored 3 goals. And they do have one player that plays for Juventus. But no, not Juventus in Italy. Juventus in Switzerland. But that's okay. At least he thinks he's playing for Juventus, and he may have confidence from that. But Liechtenstein, obviously a ridiculously small country, scoring 3 goals. Maybe they can take that home and be very excited about that. Never bad to have something to go home with pride. But now, Bosnia... Let's go back to the top of Group G. Bosnia versus Greece. Who will get it? Bosnia plays Liechtenstein. That should be a win. And they also play Lithuania. That should be a win. Greece plays... they played Liechtenstein, but then they play Slovakia. So out of the two, I'm going to take Bosnia, especially because of their goal differential. What's the difference? Bosnia is plus 20. Greece is only plus 5. So I'm going to take Bosnia in that group in a close one. Now into the second to last group. England and Ukraine. England up by 1 point on Ukraine, 16-15. Ukraine is tied with Montenegro, but they're 8 above them at plus 15 to plus 7 on goal differential. Poland at 13 points, so all of those teams still in it. And this could be a crazy group to go down to the end. England plays Moldova, and then they play Poland, and I'm going to have a shock pick. I'm going to say England loses that game. But at 19 points, Poland would only be at 16. So it would be down to Montenegro and Ukraine. Montenegro plays Moldova. I think that's a win. And then they have to play England. And that's a loss. Montenegro, you can kick them out of that spot. They'd be at 18 points. Ukraine, meanwhile, I said play Poland. And I'm going to say Poland will win that game too. And I'm going to say Poland makes it into the World Cup. Shockingly. Wait, no. They play Poland and San Marino. Never mind. Okay, that would mean at least 1 win. San Marino is god-awful. But they did score a goal. They did score a goal. Big time. I believe last week they hadn't scored a goal. Yep, they hadn't scored a goal up until today. Today was their first goal against Poland. They were actually tied for a point for 2 minutes before they got scored on. But they scored. That's good for them. Another team that has something to take home. Let me see if there's any teams that don't have anything to take home. Andorra has nothing to take home. Maybe they could... They only got scored on 24 times so far. That's what they take on. But, yeah, let's go back to the point. They should beat San Marino, and Ukraine will be qualifying for a playoff spot. Not a Group I, where it's actually tied Spain and France at 14. I think Spain's going to come out of this group. Spain will play Belarus and Georgia, 2 teams they should beat. France, Finland, and it doesn't really matter who else they play because it would be an easy team. And they don't play anybody else. They're done because it's the smallest group. But France will take that game too. Spain by goal differential. So you go on to the second place teams right now. Greece, France, Iceland, Ukraine, Portugal, Sweden, Croatia, Hungary. As it stands right now, Hungary against Greece. I would take Greece. France, Croatia. I'm going to go with France in a slim margin. Sweden, Iceland. Ooh, I really want to pick an upset here just because it would be fun. But no, Sweden is the team to pick. Iceland just because of an easy group would be in this point. Ukraine, Portugal. Unfortunately, Ukraine will not be advancing. So Portugal, Sweden, France, Greece, Spain, England, Bosnia, Russia, Switzerland, Netherlands, Germany, Italy, and Belgium are my picks for the World Cup in Europe. So that's big for them. Those are the teams that I see going through on Europe. When we come back, we're going to just break down what happened in Africa real quick. Talk a little bit CONMEBOL, South America. Unfortunately, there was some bad news. I'll tell you what that is when I come back. And then, of course, I'm going to bash the FIFA rankings. So stick around.
Your presentation of national sports is brought to you by Spreaker.com. Broadcast and listen to new radio and music with one low monthly rate. Your show will be right back after this word from your local stations. You can contact National Sports in a number of ways through Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter with the label National Sports. We love to have you guys a part of our show and can easily join us also through text or call. You're listening to the National Sports radio station on Spreaker.com.
Turn my headphones up. Loud.
We're back. Futbol Weekly. It's time for our last segment, unfortunately. But I'm going to make it a good segment. I've got a little bashing to do of the FIFA rankings. But first, we got to cover every topic. We can't leave countries out. We can't leave groups out. Every country technically has the same value. And just to really go over the teams that have qualified, the teams that are in right now, Brazil, Japan, Australia, Iran, South Korea, Netherlands, and Italy are the only teams that have qualified so far. And now we have to go over to a conference that has some of the best teams in the world, debatably, and that would be the CONMEBOL. CONMEBOL features my favorite team, Colombia, and the sad news has to do with them. They unfortunately will unfortunately not qualify yet. They needed a win to qualify today, and they lost. They will still be in second place. They have one more game played than Argentina, so Argentina can pull away now and get their way back in. But we know which teams, though, surprisingly, are going to be qualified, actually. Venezuela has been eliminated. Peru has been eliminated. Paraguay has been eliminated. Bolivia has been eliminated. So only 5 teams remain. The question is, in what order? Argentina, Colombia, Chile, Ecuador, and Uruguay. Every game counts. Every second counts. I think that the standings right now is how it's going to stay. But Colombia hopefully can pull back and start to win the games. They can get a big win against Chile. And then against Paraguay, they have to win. They'll play Paraguay in the last week. And these are very essential games now. Got to get their head back in the game, bounce off the loss, and come back strong, just like the U.S. did today. That's really important. And speaking of the U.S., Honduras, I haven't done an update in a while, and you're probably dying to know Honduras is in the 86th minute, so 4 minutes of regular time plus stoppage time, and the USA will be added to the list of teams to qualify to the World Cup. Exciting times for the USA as we get closer and closer to a World Cup berth. But back to CONMEBOL, got to get their head back in the game. Argentina will play Paraguay and then Uruguay. Difficult game. Could give Colombia a chance to slip in there and maybe take the top, but I don't see it happening. I think it'll stay the same there. Chile will play Ecuador as well as... who else do they play? Chile plays Ecuador as well as Colombia, obviously. And those are both very difficult games, so they could drop, but I still see them staying the same. The only way I could possibly see it is Ecuador dropping and Uruguay overtaking them. I just don't think at the top right now you see a team that's weak enough maybe to drop. I think it'll stay relatively the same up there. But obviously, you don't know what's going to happen. Lots of weird stuff can happen. Lots of big upsets have happened in the last week. But for right now, it looks as if it'll stay that way. And now onto Africa. And onto CAF, Confederation of African Football. There's 52 teams competing for 5 berths in the World Cup. And the second to last round has concluded. Ethiopia wins their group over South Africa, so South Africa is done, as well as Botswana and the Central African Republic. Cape Verde wins their group in a big one over Tunisia, and they will advance. Sierra Leone and Equatorial Guinea also eliminated. Ivory Coast onto the World Cup over Morocco, Tanzania, and Gambia. I have Tanzania's jersey. I have actually both of their jerseys. Their away and home kit, so that's cool. But they will not be making it. Cannot wear my jersey during one of their World Cup games, unfortunately. Ghana. Oh, by the way, the teams that I'm listing right now have won their group, but they are not in the World Cup. And I will explain that in a second. Ghana. I remember last week I made a prediction that Zambia would defeat them, but Ghana won the game in a tight one. So Ghana eliminates Zambia, Lesotho, and Sudan. Group E, Burkina Faso will advance over Congo, Gabon, and Niger. Nigeria, one of the Confederations Cup teams, over Malawi, Kenya, and Namibia. Oof. I've been mumbling a lot of my words, but that's life, I guess. You have those days where you can't pronounce the stuff. But that's fine. You know, they made it over Malawi, Kenya, and Namibia. There we go. Not Namibia, Namibia. On to Group G, coached by Bob Bradley, the ex-USA coach. Egypt has won that group by 8 points over Guinea. They have also over 15 over Mozambique and 16 over Zimbabwe, so they win that group. Algeria, 15 points over Mali, Benin, and Rwanda. In Group I, Cameroon over Libya, Congo, and Togo. And in Group J, Senegal over Uganda, Angola, and Liberia. Now onto the final round. The seeding, the first seed Ethiopia. Obviously, those are the groups. The Ethiopia, Cape Verde, Ivory Coast, Ghana, Burkina Faso, Nigeria, Egypt, Algeria, Cameroon, and Senegal. They will have a draw in 6 days in Cairo. The teams will be seeded based on their FIFA rankings on the September edition, so they'll have to wait till that September edition comes out. And just off the bat, if I'd have to say the teams that I would think should come out, I would say Ivory Coast and Ghana, locks. Nigeria is a lock. And I'd say Cameroon are the locks. And I'd say Egypt should be another one of the locks. I don't think there's really a team here that could win, but you don't know. Ethiopia, possibly. Cape Verde. You never know. Big upset could happen. Burkina Faso, wow, that would be a surprise. Senegal could make it. Algeria, one of the teams from last year's World Cup, could make it. But you don't know. It's tight there. It's a very difficult, so many countries and so many teams that are vying for a spot that unfortunately will not be able to make it. And now just a breakdown of what's going on. There are 32 spots in the World Cup, and there are only 52 teams that can still qualify. And a lot of them are from Europe, but 20 will be eliminated within a month. Or a little bit over a month and 5 days. And so many teams have been eliminated. 144 teams have been eliminated. There are 24 remaining places in the finals. There are 32 total, obviously, in the finals. 204 teams started, only 52 left. So, it's gone down a significant amount. And now, the bash. The FIFA rankings, I hate them. I believe they are really quickly, before I go into that, do 2 updates. First of all, Argentina beating Paraguay 3-1, so they'll go back into first, as I was saying. And, of course, I have to do the update on Honduras, Panama. And the score there is 2-2. While Panama has equalized, but USA, if this score holds, with only a couple of minutes remaining, probably about just under 1 or 2 remaining, the U.S. would still qualify for the World Cup, so it's still looking good for them. Just minutes away from a World Cup berth. So hopefully they can make it. I'll be really happy if they do. Once again, Gabriel Torres scored for Panama. He's got both, but they're getting really close. And once again, if you want to call in 224-563-8444, 224-563-8444, call in, tweet me at Tibbs_Taborda, or text me at the number 224-563-8444. That's 3 times. Hopefully you got that. It is also in the comment section, but yeah, hopefully you got that. And now onto my bash of FIFA. And boy, do I, as I just said, boy, do I hate the rankings. I think the rankings are a disgrace. They get me so angry. I mean, have you ever looked at the rankings? You have Brazil at 9th, under Croatia. How is Croatia over Brazil? How is a team that just won the Confederations Cup and dismantled Spain, the best team in the world, below Croatia, who can't beat Belgium? And how is Belgium also below Croatia when Belgium is leading that group? It doesn't make sense. Bosnia was leading Greece, yet Greece is above them. How is Ecuador below Uruguay when Ecuador is leading them? And you may say, oh, well, it's just time that they'll progress downwards. No, it's not. Not really. How is Switzerland? What is Switzerland doing above Russia? See, they take into account the importance of the game because it's a World Cup qualifier, but they don't take into account the team necessarily they're playing. Look, so if you go to the ranking calculation, Switzerland, their tie against Iceland is worth 325 points. Their win over Brazil is worth 573, so that's a 200-point difference. So their win over Brazil is only worth 573 points, while Belgium over Scotland is worth 1,125. Please explain to me how that's worth more. It's just ridiculous. It's just a gigantic upset. You can calculate the rankings here. Colombia, if they had won, would have gone to 2nd in the world. Now, after this loss, they will be dropping below Argentina, below a couple of teams, but they still should be in a good position. But above Germany, how can you put them above Germany? Sure, Germany has not done amazing. They tied against Paraguay, but that doesn't make them worse than Colombia. I mean, I'm a big fan of Colombia. I love Colombia, but when you know a team's better, you got to admit it, and you got to. It's just ridiculous. How can you do that to the teams? You look at the top, at the rankings, USA at 19. How is Mexico above Chile? Mexico can't seem to scratch out a win. And how is Peru even in this conversation? How are they 22nd? These rankings are so slow and odd, they don't seem to make sense because they don't value the games at the right amount. Switzerland, they come up with a win against Norway, and it's worth 1,312.5 points. More than a win over Brazil, like I just said. You have to change these rankings. These rankings determine the World Cup. They determine who's at the top of the head of the World Cup. The teams that are in the top 7 plus Brazil get to play against the easier teams. It makes it easier for them because they're the best team in that group. So why are they not necessarily the right teams? Croatia could potentially pull themselves into the top 7. Let's see. Croatia, they're actually going to drop, so they won't be doing it. But Portugal, they were playing today. I am actually not sure how that game finished. I'll check that out right now for you guys, actually. Quick update on the Honduras game and its final. The USA has qualified for the World Cup, and we're going back to another one. There will be great memories made there. Obviously, this is big news. Great for the U.S. Jurgen Klinsmann leading us to there, and I'm proud of it. And, wow, this is, I'm almost at a loss for words. Just terrific news for the United States. Proud of their effort, proud of their play. And, yeah, they will be heading to Brazil for the 2014 World Cup. Go USA. Hopefully Colombia can follow. And now back onto Brazil. They won 3-1 against Portugal today. Big win for them. And let me go back and calculate what this does for Brazil. The 3-1 win over Portugal. Actually, they're going to go down. I mean, they lost against Switzerland, but they bounced back. They destroyed Austria. And they're going to go down. I can understand that, but they're still not going to be in a good position now. The one thing I do like is that Belgium, thank God at least one team that deserves to be up there is actually going up. Belgium will be moving up to 7th place. Thank God teams that deserve it are actually sometimes making it. Colombia will drop to 6th, but thank God they're not doing too terrible. And it's Montenegro at 28. You can say they're playing well, and they are. But 28 is a little high when you have teams like Sweden and Ukraine under them. Ukraine is now tied with them. You've got teams like Venezuela. Then you go, oh my God, I haven't even looked at the second page. The second page is terrible. You have Hungary at the top. Decent, but over Venezuela? How is Albania, who has done... Albania? Oh, jeez. Albania hasn't been able to do anything. They've lost to so many teams. They are not good. And they're above Venezuela. I mean, a team that just got eliminated, but still. Panama, a team that was in the final of the Gold Cup, below Albania as well. Japan, a team that is qualified for the World Cup, is below Cape Verde, a team that has not qualified for the World Cup. Below Romania. The rankings are a disgrace. They should not be there. It is not a fair system. There is nothing right about the system. There is nothing good about the system. It does not represent the top teams right. See, if I were to go to the top 10, if I were to completely re-rank that, Spain and Germany, I'll leave there. Spain, Germany, Argentina, and this is just right now how they're playing. Brazil, Belgium, Colombia, Italy, Portugal. Those are all top 10. And then you go to let's just go to the top 20 out of the top 20 teams. I'm kicking Switzerland out. I can't even debate that. Mexico, I'm kicking you out. You can move Chile, France up there. Peru, you can't even be in the top 25. It's a disgrace. Get rid of it. If you don't want to get rid of the rankings completely, change it around. Make it a better ranking that reflects what is going on, what it's about. Don't make it something that isn't going to represent the actual standings. That's just my opinion. The FIFA rankings suck. Get rid of them. And now we're going to move on to slightly lighter news for our last little bit. If you just call in, text, we're running out of time, so if you don't call in soon, we won't be able to. Obviously, they will be next week, but if you have any thoughts, call in. And now onto our lighter news. It's it's funny football news. Or I'm going to try to figure out some good name for it. I'll think of one. Funny football follies, make it FFF. I don't know. But let's talk about it. And let's start with... Let's see. There's so many... Actually, a lot of news. But let's talk about a famous celebrity getting smashed by Gabby Agbanahor. Lewis of One Direction, in case you don't know who One Direction, it's a British boy band who's very popular here in the United States by a lot of girls. I don't like them. I just don't like boy bands in general. But he got smashed, a big hit. And he was very upset about it. But he was just smashed in the face. Another one, Twitter Premier League sees Man United missing a Champions League spot. So that's big. Manchester United, a team that you normally see there. And now a lot of teams doubt they can even make it to the point that they normally are so used to making. But that's it's funny, but it's also almost mocking. Next, we're gonna go to Finland newspaper telling the team to park the bus against Spain, and they don't. Basically, Finland hosted. They were told to park the bus in their World Cup qualifier against Spain, with a non-too-subtle graphic in a Finnish newspaper suggesting the game plan. But the game plan seemed to have backfired. They wanted them basically to put everybody on defense. To do that, unfortunately, they did not, but it didn't work out. And they were unable to win. Not surprising. Spain clearly the better team. Now, another weird story. A fan got his name tattooed. Got Kolo Touré of Liverpool's name tattooed on his arm. And it didn't come out especially terrific. Actually, it came out as Kolo Touré. Not Kolo Touré. Kolo Touré. And that didn't turn out well. But Kolo Touré has offered to fix it for the fan. So, nice guy. That's good for him. And now, Fulham has beaten Chelsea to the signing of Jose Mourinho Jr. So, Jose Mourinho, that's Jose Mourinho's son, has signed with Fulham's under-14 team. So I guess football runs in the family. The special one, Junior, going to Fulham. I didn't even know he had a son. I didn't even know he played soccer, but that's big. And on to our last. Defensive master farce ends cup final dream. And this is what it says. It's always a blow to crash out of a tournament having reached the semifinal. And for Chinese side Zhang Jing, that misery was compounded by the fact they were masters of their own fate. Zhang Jing had been holding their own in a close encounter with rivals Liang Ling at the under-20s tournament at the National Games of China. And there had been little between them until the 62nd minute, when Liang Ling launched an attack, with a hopeful punt into the box, and a headed clearance saw the ball land at the feet of Zhang Jing defender, who swinging the boot sliced it back across his own 18-yard box. Another defender then managed to completely mistime his bicycle kick, sending the ball crashing into the knee of a hapless teammate. However, the Zhang Jing keeper, unfazed by this defensive tomfoolery unfolding before him, still looked to have the situation under control. But as he calmly stuck out a boot to control the ball, it took an awkward bounce off his foot and trickled inside the bottom corner. So I'll play that clip for you. So everything went wrong for that defensive team. Couldn't get a clearance down, couldn't get anything down. So let's get that clip rolling. Wait, no, it's all in Chinese. I'll just commentate it for you. So basically, yeah, as I said, they played it across and just a long kick in. Tries to clear it away, but it goes right back across his own team. Tries to bicycle kick. It went off of the goalie, and the goalie could not. Wow. Yeah, it's not in English. You probably know by now. But that doesn't mean you can't hear the surprise of the goalie. The surprise of the commentators. Listen to the surprise. Again. I have no idea what he just said, but it was probably something like, "Oh my God, the goalie just, for lack of a better word, screwed up." Can't really say what I was gonna say, but he really messed up. The guy obviously was very surprised by the play, and that's our last story here. Thanks for tuning in. It's been another great show. If you have any comments on the show, actually, even after, you can text or call. I'll talk. I'll answer some questions. If you tweet me at Tibbs_Taborda. That's spelled TIBS_TABORDA. Again, at TIBS, caps on the T, _ caps TABORDA at Tibbs_Taborda. Or text or call 224-563-8444. So that is all for today. Thanks for tuning in. It's been a wonderful show. Had a lot of fun. And tune in next week also. And we'll have another great show for you. And we'll be talking a little more Europe now. It'll be back into full swing of club soccer. So tune in.
Yeah, you already know, man. It's your boy, TJ. Ain't do no verse on my show. Alright, tip. Let the legend holler at you. Tip.
Yeah. I'm talking true A-Town trap shit. You understand that? Hit the king home way. Hey, Trinidad. DD home.
Aight, come on. Big bank. All I do is get bank. Okay. Niggas hating on me, but they be chain. So conceited, I don't think my shit stink.